Hello, and welcome to News at Rider. I'm Patrick Barrar.
And I'm Rakia Henderson. And now for the top stories of the week.
Vice presidential candidates Dick Cheney and Joe Lieberman opened their only nationally televised debate Thursday night, vowing to eschew personal attacks, and kept that promise in a generally low-key discussion of their tickets policy differences. The candidates, seated with Bernard Shaw at a round table, met at Center College before 1,100 people, and a television audience expected to be far smaller than the estimated 46 million people who watched Tuesday's Bush-Gore debate.
President Slobodan Milosevic's 10 years of authoritarian rule crumbled Thursday as hundreds and thousands of protesters overran the Capitol and stormed Parliament as police abandoned their post. And one of the biggest blows to Milosevic, Yugoslavia's state-run news service said it recognized opposition leader Vojislav Kostunica as the nation's president. The army, Milosevic's power base, did nothing to intervene.
Israeli and Palestinian soldiers engaged in gun battles just hours after the announcement of a ceasefire aimed at ending a week of violence in the West Bank and Gaza Strip that has killed 69 people. The death toll rose again when a Palestinian man was shot dead in the chest when, according to witnesses, he was trying to rip down an Israeli flag from a military post at Netzarim Strip Junction.
In Washington, a Colorado couple used genetic tests to create a test tube baby that would have the exact type of cells desperately needed to save their 6-year-old daughter. This is the first time a couple was known to have screened their embryos before implanting one in the mother's womb. The procedure is both a promising and worrisome harbinger of where scientific advances are taking human reproduction in the near future.
After years of debate, Congress recently moved closer to adopting a national standard to determine whether a driver is drunk. 19 states already use the .08 standard, while most other states set a blood alcohol level of 0.10% as their legal definition of drunkenness. Under the compromise, states that do not adopt the .08 blood alcohol standard would lose a predetermined portion of their federal highway funds in future years.
On Tuesday, in Ravenna, Ohio, police found the body of a missing pregnant woman, buried in a shallow grave with her abdomen cut open and the baby removed. Teresa Andrews, who was 9 months pregnant, disappeared last Wednesday. The baby boy was found unhurt inside the nearby home of Michelle Bicca, 39, who police said took the infant. Officials said Bicca shot herself to death as police arrived to question her.
When we return, there's trouble in rock and roll paradise for rock band Oasis.
And Matt Damon and Ben Affleck may be looking to hire you.
I didn't think I had that much to drink. I thought I could drive. They didn't deserve this. Now I have to live with the hate from their families, disappointment of my family. Worst of all, guilt for the rest of my life. If you think drunk driving only affects your life, think again. It affects everyone that's close to you. Don't drink and drive.
Oasis frontman Liam Gallagher, 28, and Angels and Insects star Patsy Kensit, 32, are ending their marriage of 3 years. On September 19th, the judge granted an undefended decree nisi, a British court ruling that represents the first legal step towards a divorce. It is undecided what will happen to their 1-year-old son, Lennon.
Are you a writer? Do you have a screenplay you want to be considered for a movie? Well, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are looking for a hot script from someone outside the Hollywood network, and they've set up a contest on the internet to track it down. The winner will receive $1 million budget to direct the script for Miramax. Damon and Affleck will executive produce. So if you're looking for your 15 minutes of fame, send your work to www.projectgreenlight.com.
Brian Edwin Smith was found dead in his home on September 22nd in Freiburg, Maine. Smith was driving the van that struck author Stephen King on a main road last year. Many of the injuries King is still recovering from. A medical examiner said the autopsy on the body found no physical trauma, but cause of death will be determined pending toxicology tests. After the break, see how Rider employees and students put on their work faces to build a local family a new home.
Take a look at this new computer lab in the Fine Arts Building. We'll have the story when we get back.
He told me that he loved me, and I believed him. And he told me nothing would happen if we had unsafe sex, and I believed him. And now he wants nothing to do with me or my baby.
Right. Well, just tell Susan to run those over here, okay? Thank you. Hey, what's the matter with you?
I was up all night last night working on this presentation for the CEO. I don't think I'm going to get that job promotion I wanted. And to top it all off, I heard we're not getting Christmas bonuses. Could really use a pick-me-up.
Water! Woo!
You are now free to move about the country.
Habitat for Humanity recently visited Ryder's campus, and the outcome was constructive. Here's Alexandra Lazio with the story.
Habitat for Humanity came to Ryder's campus on Saturday, September 16th. The project proved to be an overwhelming success. Rider University President Bart Ludicky was impressed by the organization of the event.
It looks to me like they just did a great job of planning, and that's what you need for an event like this. I think it's going to be fun to see the end result and see a family that has, you know, a home that's really nice for them when this is all finished.
Originally proposed as a Greek event, growing popularity spread throughout the Rider and Westminster campuses. Along with the donated $7,000 worth of material, Home Depot employees were on hand to oversee and guide construction.
We got about 12 of our carpenters from all over the area that worked for us in different stores, and we came down and we just helped teach these students how to frame a house, basically.
This is the 55th house the Trenton chapter has built since its conception in 1986. A shared feeling of community and volunteerism pervaded the crowd.
I think there's a growing volunteerism. I think we went through a period of time where it wasn't as strong, and that's really coming back now. And I think the real key to volunteerism, I think it's always kind of there, but sometimes people just don't know how to manifest it. And when you give them a concrete project like this and you provide them with the supplies and all the things they need, they're willing to give the time. And I think we're just sort of opening up that possibility, and people have come out. Big crowds, really great.
Many agree on the success of the project and hope to continue it in the future.
If we can do more things like this, I think we benefit not only as a community here at Rider, but as a community here in Lawrence Township, and as a community in whole.
This is Alexandra Alazio reporting.
Christmas at Westminster, one of the highlights of the region's holiday performance seasons, has traditionally been a sellout. In order to attend the festive programs, members of the Rider community will once again have the opportunity to purchase tickets for these popular events before ticket sales open to the general public, Saturday, October 28th, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. in Williamson Hall Lounge on the Westminster campus. The Westminster Concerts office will sell approximately 1/3 of the tickets for each performance. For more information about all Westminster performances, please call the Westminster Concerts office at 921-7100, extension 308.
Rider swimming and diving coach Brian Gordon made his 4th trip to the Olympics. A former swimmer for the Bronx, Gordon again served as a member of the NBC production staff. Gordon's chief responsibility was coordinating information and acting as a clearinghouse for technical information used in the broadcast. He conducted interviews of swimmers and coaches, putting together the editing. He also worked closely with NBC announcers Dan Hicks, Jim Gray, and former gold medal winning Olympian Rowdy Gaines.
The Communications Department recently upgraded Rider's Journalism Lab. Stephanie Farina has the story.
This summer, the Communication Department Journalism Lab was brought to a higher level of technology with new computers. The lab was also refurbished.
We're always trying to keep this place cutting edge. And so we're really fortunate to have the latest generation of Macintosh computers in here. And I think that students will really notice a difference in the speed and performance.
The computers are much higher capacity than what we had previously, so that they're able to do much more complicated processes. We can do much more high-end graphic manipulation. We can start to get into things like animation and that type of thing.
With the new technology comes many benefits. However, the number of students in a class will be affected.
The administration felt that if we added 3 more computers to the lab, we could accommodate more students, which is certainly true. In one way, it's not a real advantage because it means we spend less time with each student. But it certainly is true that more students can get the classes they need.
The new technology has been in place since September and has already accommodated more students. The ability of this cutting-edge technology is sure to give students practical experience with equipment that is already being used in the workforce today. Reporting from the J-Lab, I'm Stephanie Farina.
Thanks, Stephanie. The atrocities of the Civil War in her native Sierra Leone has deepened Rider University senior May Marie Nuyaba's resolve to help refugees from around the world. Fleeing from her homeland and receiving political asylum in September of 1999, Nuyaba, a sociology major, now resides with her aunt, uncle, and grandmother in Hamilton Square. She juggles her studies at Rider with an internship, working 30 hours a week as a resettlement assistant refugee caseworker at the Trenton-based Lutheran Social Ministries of New Jersey. That wraps up local news. When we return, Rebecca Horn will have the sports.
Want to gamble? Let's try poker. Sucker. How about some blackjack? Wow, you lost again. If you're someone who constantly gambles everything, you know what you'll be left with? Nothing. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call Gamblers Anonymous and get the help you need.
Gross. Luckily, your mom got us this new detergent Electrosol.
Tabs?
Yeah, she says they work really well.
Even on pots and pans?
I guess so.
Okay, well, let's give it a try.
Place the unwrapped tablet in the detergent dispenser and close. Then run the dishwasher as you normally would.
Wow, these are even cleaner than before the guys dirtied them up. Well, they do say moms always know best.
No mess, no measuring, no waste. Electrosol tabs, the next dimension of clean.
And now to Rebecca with sports. So Rebecca, how does our wrestling season look this year?
It looks like it's going to be a really exciting one, Rukia. The Rider University wrestling team has high expectations for this season. The team begins the 2000-2001 season with 4 individuals ranked among the top 20 in the nation: senior Sean Scannell, senior Mark DeFrancisco, junior Jero Limongelli, and sophomore PJ Sergent. The Rider University Department of Athletics will induct 4 new members into its Hall of Fame February 3, 2001. George Pudgy Malone, class of 1950, who played soccer and baseball at Rider in the late 1940s. Margaret Madge Walsh, class of 1985, who earned second-team All-Conference honors as a senior on the Rider basketball team. Jack Schwitzler, class of 1993, who was the first swimmer at Rider to win 4 East Coast Conference championships. And finally, Kevin Bannon, who took the Rider basketball program to the NCAA championship tournament for 2 consecutive seasons. And lastly, to women's soccer. I recently visited the Lady Bronx to talk to them about their season and found that expectations were running high. With fall and the new school year upon us, we all know that it's soccer season again. Here at Rider, the women's soccer team has a new look to it, as head coach Peggy Matthews illustrates.
I think we're a little deeper this year. I think we have some more bodies and we're a little healthier this year than we were at this point last year. So other than that, a lot of returning players, but a lot of freshmen. We have 7 freshmen that came in this year, so they're complementing each other very well.
There's plenty of action on the field, as senior player Christy Doherty mentions where she hopes to be at the end of the season.
And we're working hard as a team. We started off a little slow, but we're still in the hunt for the MAC, and that's our ultimate goal. I mean, out of conference games, it's nice to win, but in the end, we ultimately want to end up in Fairfield in November.
So come out and support the Rider women's soccer team and help them achieve their goal.
Looks like they're pretty psyched about their season.
Yeah, they sure are. They're out there working hard, and they're trying to win as many games as they can.
Great. Well, thanks for watching, and remember to tune in every week for News at Rider. Hello and welcome to the News at Ryder. I'm Patrick Farrar.
And I'm Rakia Henderson. And now for the top stories of the week.
Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak called for the formation of an emergency coalition government Thursday after Israel bombed targets in the West Bank and Gaza in retaliation for the deaths of at least 2 soldiers. Barak had said 3 soldiers had been killed, but the Israeli Defense Forces had only recovered 2 bodies. In a news conference after a day of cabinet meetings, Barak accused Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat of abandoning peace efforts and warned that a further Israeli clampdown on Palestinian territory could be coming.
Palestinian Cabinet Minister Fazl Husseini expressed regret for the killing of 2 Israeli soldiers by a Palestinian mob, but he said Israelis were responsible for the past killing 15 days of violence, which has killed nearly 100 people, most of them Palestinians or Israeli Arabs. Israeli helicopter gunships fired on Palestinian broadcasting facilities in the West Bank and Palestinian Authority offices in Gaza. But Barak denied reports that Israeli forces had targeted offices used by Arafat in Gaza.
6 U.S. sailors are dead, 36 are injured, and 11 are missing after 2 terrorists on a suicide mission attacked a U.S. Navy destroyer on Thursday in the Middle Eastern port city of Aden. The explosion tore a hole in the side of the USS Cole during a refueling stop at a facility in Aden, Yemen. The U.S. officials have claimed it was the result of a well-planned terrorist attack and said the incident may be linked to the alleged terrorist Osama bin Laden's organization. The explosion occurred when a small boat assisting in the refueling of the USS Cole pulled alongside the destroyer, which was carrying about 350 crew members.
With the world focused on events in Yemen and the Gaza Strip, Vice President Al Gore and Texas Governor George W. Bush made low-key returns to the presidential campaign trail on Thursday. This just hours after a second debate that instant polls suggested was a draw. Both men also called on Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat to renew peace talks and quell the violence that has carried Israel and Palestine to the brink of war.
George W. Bush recently visited Neshaminy High School in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. The presidential nominee discussed such topics as Social Security, Medicare, and student loans to an excited crowd of Pennsylvanians. Pennsylvania is a key swing state, so George W. Bush will be campaigning heavily there.
John Andrews, husband of Teresa Andrews, is raising his son Oscar alone. Last week, he reported that the 23-year-old Ravenna, Ohio woman, pregnant with her first child, was kidnapped and killed on September 27th. Police say another woman, Michelle Bickup, pretended to be pregnant, cut the child from Andrews' room, and passed the child off as her own. When police closed in on Bickup, she killed herself. John Andrews met his son Oscar, who miraculously survived the ordeal last week in an Ohio hospital. The boy is in guarded condition.
South Korean President Kim Dae-jung won the first Nobel Peace Prize for the 21st century. The man, sometimes called the Nelson Mandela of Asia, was chosen from a record 150 nominees, including the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan and Yugoslav peace mediators.
A new law prohibiting underage children from playing violent and sexually provocative video arcade games will now be enforced after an Indiana federal court lifted a temporary injunction preventing the ordinance from going into effect. The law was originally scheduled to go into effect on September 1st, but the city of Indianapolis agreed to a voluntary temporary injunction until legal challenges to the ordinance were resolved. But in a ruling Wednesday, U.S. District Judge David Hamilton lifted the injunction and ruled the law could go into effect. Judge Hamilton rejected the video games industry argument that the law passed by the Indianapolis City Council in July is too broad and infringes on its constitutional right to free expression.
In Columbus, Ohio, Gina Bell was assaulted by a man with a video camera while waiting in line for a carnival ride at a church festival. The man was caught by Bell looking under her dress and taping her while she was bending over to put her baby back in her stroller. On Tuesday, the Ohio law increased the penalties for secretly taking pictures up a woman's skirt or down her shirt. This will now be called upskirting and downblousing. The new Ohio law increases penalties to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. When we return, we'll have some follow-up information on the highly successful Habitat for Humanity Day that took place here on Ryder's campus.
And Ryder observes Alcohol Awareness Day with a unique campaign.
Right, well, just tell Susan to run those over here, okay? Thank you. Hey, what's the matter with you?
I was up all night last night working on this presentation for the CEO. I don't think I'm going to get that job promotion I wanted. And to top it all off, I heard we're not getting Christmas bonuses. Could really use a pick-me-up.
Water!
Woo!
You are now free to move about the country.
Rider University raised a total of $13,216 for its first ever Habitat Humanity project, which culminated last month in the construction of the frame of a new home for local Trenton resident Sandra Booth Shabazz and her 10-year-old daughter. To aid the worthy cause, an additional $7,000 donation came in the form of lumber from Home Depot. More than 300 Rider students and local professional carpenters toiled together, completing a day's work of 6 hours ahead of schedule. The general framework of the house was built in sections, loaded on a flatbed truck, and transported to Trenton. The house is scheduled to be erected on North Clinton Avenue in Trenton, New Jersey.
Make sobering up yours. A takeoff of the popular 7-Up commercial will be the theme of Rider University's campus-wide observance of Alcohol Awareness Week, Monday, October 16th through Friday, October 20th. Throughout the week, educational materials about alcohol consumption and I Represent One buttons will, in memory of one person who died in a crash caused by a drunken driver, will be distributed on campus. For more information and a complete schedule of Alcohol Awareness Week events, contact Valerie Kamen at 609-896-5060.
Monica Chicheska, a junior English major at Rider, and her partner Steve Holt recently won the U.S. National Championships to advance to the World Amateur Ballroom Dance Championships, which will be held the second week of December in Slovakia. While not looking past the World Championships, Chicheska and Holt have another goal in mind. As the United States top amateur ballroom dance couple, they have a realistic chance of representing the country in the 2004 Olympics, which will be held in Athens. Dance sport, which is what the International Olympic Committee calls competitive ballroom dancing, recently has been approved as an Olympic sport for the 2004 Summer Olympics.
Recently, 3 Rider employees were honored with the Elliott Award. News at Rider has the story.
Marge Rayner, Jan Freeman Krupnick, and Jonathan Millen have been selected as this year's Elliott Award winners. Although this is a prestigious award on the Rider campus, not many students know exactly what it is.
The Elliott Award is an award that Rider gives once a year to a faculty member, a staff member, and a member of the administration for distinguished service to the university.
In addition to the recognition, you get a plaque and you get a monetary gift also, which is always nice.
But the Elliott Award isn't so easy to come by.
My job has changed significantly since I first started at Rider, and I've gotten very involved in the information technology. I was involved in putting all the phones in. When I first came to Rider, students didn't have phones and cable TV, and was involved in that project for the infrastructure so that students could have voice, video, and cable in their residence halls.
It's really, after being here for 9 years, a number of activities that I've been involved in, from the university theme committee to running the student ice hockey team to advising various organizations and being involved in various committees. It really has to do with service above and beyond what's expected of you.
When I first started, there was like a word processing center, but nobody had computers, or very few people had computers. So I've been taking classes through the years to kind of keep up to date with that technology.
Thanks to all of the staff for the hard work.
News at Rider reporter Stephanie Farina recently visited a group of students who take community service very seriously. Here's Stephanie with the story.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Farina, and I'm standing here in front of the Student Center Theater with a group of students representing various organizations such as LASSO, EOP, and Lambda Theta Alpha. Now, these students are making sandwiches, and they're preparing to go on a trip to New York City tonight, where they will hand out the sandwiches and some clothing that was donated to a group of homeless people that they will find throughout the streets.
Midnight Run is part of an overall community service effort that we're trying on campus now to increase our involvement of Rider students in community service, moving out from the campus into the community to increase the whole understanding of civility.
15 students got involved in this mission for civility. They loaded up their bag dinners and clothing and headed for Hell's Kitchen in New York City, where a route was planned for them to feed the homeless of the New York City streets.
It's a basic reality check, and it's a humbling experience just knowing what you have and what you're going to go home to and what these people are waiting to receive. They don't care what's in the bag. They just hope that it's, something that's going to fulfill them.
If you are interested in helping to fulfill the lives of the homeless, call the campus ministry or the Multicultural Center. Midnight Run will be scheduled monthly. Reporting from the Student Center, I'm Stephanie Farina.
When we return, Rebecca Horn will have the sports, including a visit with Riders tennis coach Ed Torres.
I didn't think I had that much to drink. I thought I could drive. They didn't deserve this. Now I have to live with the hate from their families, disappointment of my family. Worst of all, guilt for the rest of my life. If you think drunk driving only affects your life, think again. It affects everyone that's close to you. Don't drink and drive.
So, Rebecca, what's the update in the women's soccer team?
Well, the women's soccer team ended their 2-game losing streak by defeating St. Peter's 4-2 on Wednesday. Freshman Colleen Evans scored her first 2 collegiate goals to give the Bronx the 2-0 lead. Senior Christy Doherty, who assisted on the first goal, scored to give the Lady Bronx a 3-0 lead. The men's soccer team led in their game on Tuesday before falling 4-1 against Lehigh. Freshman Tim O'Neill scored his team-high 6th goal of the season, assisted by junior Bob Francis. Lehigh, ranked 3rd in the Mid-Atlantic region, came back to score the game's next 4 goals, 3 of them coming in a span of 9 minutes. The Bronx then defeated conference rival Marist 2-0 on Friday. Sophomore Phil Bedrin had a goal and an assist. Both the men and the women's tennis team swung their rackets with force when they defeated Canisius in a Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference match. The women upped their record to 500 with a 6-3 win, and the men won 4-3 to make their overall record 2-6. I took a closer look at the women's tennis team earlier this week and found that they were working hard on the courts. The Rider University tennis courts aren't empty this fall. The women's tennis team is working hard and finding their strength coming from new members at the bottom part of their lineup.
We have a lot more depth than last year. We have like 8 new freshmen, so our bottom is much more depth. They're a lot better hitters than we had from last year. We did lose Stephanie Buss, who was the all-time leading scorer, but we made up with having 4 new freshmen.
With many of the more difficult teams out there, head coach Ed Torres explains how this team goes into every match with the same attitude.
When we play a more difficult team, all I do, the practices don't change. I just tell them that they have to concentrate a little bit more and they have to just give it more effort. We don't do anything differently for a difficult team or for a team that we should beat.
With this season continuing into the spring, the women are gearing up for the competition.
We're looking for the MAC tournament in the spring, so hopefully we want to be big contenders there. We're looking to place in the top 5, hopefully, but we'll see.
Let's hope this team can serve up a win. So you guys better go out and watch a few of these matches this season.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time that we have here, but tune in next week for News at Rider. That was great.
That was not
welcome to News at Ryder. I'm Patrick Farrar.
And I'm Rakia Henderson. And now for the top stories of the week.
Democrat Al Gore and Republican George W. Bush, still locked in a dead heat in their race for the White House, wrangled over taxes, spending, and Social Security reform on the campaign trail Thursday. The latest NBC News poll showed the race as tight as ever, with Bush favored by 45% of likely voters and Gore with 43%, a statistical tie.
A new review of Chinese military documents provided a defector in 1995 has led U.S. intelligence agencies to conclude that Chinese espionage has gathered more American missile technology than nuclear weapons secrets. The conclusion was reached only this year because the CIA and other intelligence agency linguists did not fully translate a huge pile of secret Chinese documents, totaling 13,000 pages, until 4 years after the agency obtained them, according to a senior law enforcement official who described the delay as a major blunder.
After two joy-filled homecomings, Wednesday was a day for mourning at the USS Cole's home port as dignitaries and shipmates attended a memorial service for 17 sailors killed or presumed dead in the terror attack that crippled the warship. President Bill Clinton told the mourners that the United States would not rest until the culprits were captured.
Recently, presidential candidate George W. Bush visited Neshaminy High School in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Stephanie Farina has the story.
George W. Bush and wife Laura are expected to arrive here at Neshaminy High School around 1:30 this afternoon. Now with them will be Governor Ridge, Lieutenant Governor Schweiker, Dick Vermeil, and the superintendent of the schools. Other political figures are expected to attend. The lines were long and security was tight getting into the Fred Gertz Gymnasium. People of all ages were represented and the school's enthusiasm was jumping.
Classroom today. This is a class with 900 of our kids and community members and war veterans, and it's just exciting.
Senior class president Michael Grant welcomed Governor Ridge and Lieutenant Governor Schweiker. Then Mrs. Laura Bush introduced her husband.
I believe that by passing money back to people and giving them more money to spend is an integral part of doing that. We can do both. Pay down debt and relieve taxes, but it requires fiscal discipline.
Students and voters were able to question Governor Bush's values, and he didn't hesitate to be honest.
On the abortion issue, I am pro-life. Good people disagree on the issue. Good people disagree. And we need to work on a culture of personal responsibility where people need...
When each topic from military morale to Medicare was covered, Neshaminy honored Governor and Mrs. Bush with a gift and a small after-party. So what part does New Jersey play?
New Jersey, does have a fair number of electoral votes, not quite as much as Pennsylvania. I think at the moment they're thinking New Jersey's leaning pretty heavily to Gore. So I've seen less appearances there than Pennsylvania. But when you consider the New York City and Philadelphia appearances, those get all over Jersey anyway, so it's kind of like campaigning in Jersey, too.
And campaign they did. News at Ryder even got in on the action as the Bushes stuck around to give autographs.
Thank you. Thanks.
The Bush campaign will now hit the trail. Next stop, Michigan. But before they left, Governor Bush appealed to the crowd, saying, "Let me lead you where they did not." Reporting from Neshaminy High School, I'm Stephanie Farina, News at Ryder.
Thanks, Stephanie. In Gulu, Uganda, international experts fortified the hospital at Ground Zero of Uganda's Ebola outbreak on Thursday the 19th, training doctors and nurses while trying to protect them from the swift and deadly virus that has so far killed 41 people. Ugandan health officials said on Thursday that the outbreak was restricted to Gulu and had not spread. The Ebola virus usually kills its victims faster than it spreads, burning out before it can reach too far. About 4 days after contracting the virus, the victim develops a headache, fever, and chest pains. In the later stages, the virus begins to attack internal organs. Between 80% and 90% of Ebola victims die of the disease within 2 weeks of infection. Researchers do not know what causes Ebola outbreaks. The outbreak is the first time the disease has been found in Uganda. When we return, we'll have the latest in music technology.
Right. Well, just tell Susan to run those over here, okay? Thank you. Hey, what's the matter with you?
I was up all night last night working on this presentation for the CEO. I don't think I'm going to get that job promotion I wanted. And to top it all off, I heard we're not getting Christmas bonuses. Could really use a pick-me-up.
Water!
Woo!
They are now free to move about the country.
Starting next month, Japanese consumers will be able to gratify a host of yearnings for music with a few taps of their wireless phones. CD-quality music, accessible by request anywhere, anytime, via a mobile phone, was one of many innovative technologies on display in suburban Tokyo earlier this month at a popular trade show, CEATEC Japan 2000. CEATEC, short for the Combined Exhibition of Advanced Technologies. The event showcased the vast potential for using Internet technologies, which were pioneered in the United States in combination with wireless phone services, an area in which Japanese companies led in the world.
Online music company MP3.com Incorporated said on Wednesday it would pay up to $30 million to music publishers in a preliminary pact that would give it the right to use more than 1 million songs as part of its internet-based service. Under the term of the deal, trade groups National Music Publishers Association and its licensing subsidiary, Harry Fox Agency, will allow the songs to be used as part of a service called my.mp3.com, which allows users to store music digitally and then access it via any computer.
In Ewing, New Jersey, the release of 50,000 pages of internal state police documents on racial profiling will show the state cooperated with investigators. John J. Farmer, Jr. and the state police superintendent, Carson Dunbar, spoke publicly Wednesday, the 18th, for the first time since reports linking former Attorney General Peter G. Venerio to meetings at which racial profiling was discussed years before it was publicly admitted. Among the documents leaked was a 1996 memo to the then Superintendent Colonel Carl Williams, showing troopers had for years overwhelmingly stopped minority motorists for more than whites. It wasn't until last year that Venerio admitted some troopers routinely targeted minority drivers. The State Senate Judiciary Committee now has former federal prosecutor as an independent counsel hired to examine the 50,000 pages of records.
Spacewalkers Mike Lopez Alegria and Jeff Wissoff wrapped up a 7-hour waitlist work site at about 6 p.m. Alegria and Wissoff worked their way through the busy timeline with only a few hitches. NASA has been testing a device called the Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue, aka SAFER, a small thruster that attaches to a spacewalker's backpack. SAFER is purposely designed to be as small and as unobtrusive as possible. Sources say that it is hard to comprehend how many brand new systems, components, and widgets will be linked together on the U.S. space system. After the break, we'll have the latest on Jada Pinkett Smith's new movie.
And Resident Evil fans get an early Halloween treat.
I didn't think I had that much to drink. I thought I could drive. They didn't deserve this. Now I have to live with the hate from their families, disappointment of my family. Worst of all, guilt for the rest of my life. If you think drunk driving only affects your life, think again. It affects everyone that's close to you. Don't drink and drive.
Jada Pinkett Smith may be adding another dimension to her resume. The actress is in talks to appear in the second and third installments of The Matrix, to be filmed back-to-back in Australia. Though little is being revealed about the super-secretive plot, Smith's character, Niobe, will play the love interest of Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne, who is set to return with Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Hugo Weaving.
Resident Evil fans, get ready for an early Halloween treat. Your favorite scary video game is finally headed to the big screen. The story follows a military task force battling to save the world from a powerful supercomputer that runs amok. The Special Tactics and Rescue Squad, STAR, must face and defeat hundreds of scientists who have mutated into flesh-eating zombies due to a laboratory accident. Resident Evil starts shooting in January in London. It's scheduled for a Halloween 2001 release.
A stork delivery of titanic proportions has happened across the pond. British actress Kate Winslet and her husband, Jim Trepleton, gave birth to a baby girl, Mia. Both mother and daughter are reportedly doing well. The 25-year-old star gave birth in London last Thursday.
Drew Lachey wed childhood sweetheart Leah Delacave in a hush-hush ceremony at a church in downtown Cincinnati on Saturday. Jerry Delacave, the mother of the bride, told the Cincinnati Enquirer the two lovebirds, who are both 24 and Cincinnati natives, have known each other since the 5th grade. Both attended the School for the Creative and Performing Arts, as did Lachey's 98 Degrees bandmate Nick Lachey, Drew's brother, and Justin Jeffrey.
Many Rider students have long practiced the motto, "It is far better to give than to receive." 7 in particular will stand out this year at Rider University's first Community Scholars, courtesy of funding from the Corella and Bertram F. Bonner Foundation and American Corps. Selected based upon their past community work, academic achievements, and financial need, each student is serving the Greater Trenton area in various capacities, making a commitment to complete 450 hours of community service and training throughout this calendar year. Each community scholar will receive a Bonner Foundation stipend of $2,380 and an American Corps Educational Award of $1,181 each, upon satisfactory completion of the 450 hours of service and training.
In awarding Norman S. Davis Fellowships for the 2000-2001 academic year, the College of Business Administration adopted a team approach for the various projects that received funding. The Davis Fellowship Program, now in its 9th year, is an enrichment program for business faculty allowing professors to delve more deeply into a variety of research of intellectual enhancement projects. Ultimately, the work generated through the program benefits students.
When we come back, we'll tell you how you can show off your volunteer work services.
Want to gamble? Let's try poker. Sucker. How about some blackjack? Wow, you lost again. If you're someone who constantly gambles everything, you know what you'll be left with? Nothing. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call Gamblers Anonymous and get the help you need.
Do you volunteer your services to benefit others in the local community on or off campus? Don Brown, Director of Multicultural Center, would like to know who you are and just how you help others. Within the next few weeks, he will distribute a questionnaire to faculty, staff, and students to create a database on the community service activists right here at Rider. More details will be announced online under Newswire shortly.
Sophomores Nicholas Kofi Guerra, Ronald Dela Cruz, and junior Annie J. Pena have been selected as Gates Millennium Scholars for the 2000-2001 school year. Gates Millennium Scholars demonstrate high academic achievement, leadership capabilities, and financial need. The scholarship, funded by a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, promotes academic excellence and further enhances minority students' access to higher education. The award covers tuition, fees, books, and other living expenses.
The university has unveiled its plans for a new facility with the announcement of the completion of the design phase of a $12.3 million sports and recreation center and the beginning of an effort to raise funds for the project. The initiative calls for the construction of $9.8 million, 3,000-seat arena, and a $2.5 million renovation of alumni gymnasium.
David A. Tierno, retiring Chief Human Resources Officer, Consulting Services for Ernst & Young, has agreed to join Rider University's College of Business Administration as an executive advisor to the dean to help conceptualize and position the Center for the Development of Leadership Skills. As the Chief Human Resources Officer for Ernst & Young's Consulting Services Division, Tierno, a resident of Princeton, oversaw the human resources management responsibilities for more than 12,000 employees in the United States, Canada, and Latin America. After the break, we'll have Rebecca Horn with the sports.
Gross. Luckily, your mom got us this new detergent Electrosol.
Tabs?
Yeah, she says they work really well.
Even on pots and pans? I guess so.
Okay, well, let's give it a try.
Place the unwrapped tablet in the detergent dispenser and close. Then run the dishwasher as you normally would.
Wow, these are even cleaner than before the guys dirtied them up. Well, they do say moms always know best.
No mess, no measuring, no waste. Electrosol tabs, the next dimension of clean.
You know, guys, I didn't get to go to Midnight Madness on Friday.
Oh,
I missed it. I'm sorry.
such a
But I
shame.
hear you got some information on it, don't you?
Yeah, okay. Well, it's October and colleges around the nation get ready for the first official basketball practice of the season. Rider is no exception. Midnight Madness got kicked off on Friday the 13th, and we were there. Alumni Gym was transformed into a graveyard on Friday the 13th. Midnight Madness took place there later that night, and I found the many people who helped plan this exciting event.
I'm part of Student Entertainment Council, SEC, and we're basically part of this. We're providing like the entertainment and everything. So we have like the DJ, we did the T-shirts, and like so it's SEC, SGA, and athletics. So we're like all kind of helping out, and we have like the freshman emerging leaders who are also helping out.
This event, which happens every fall semester, instills people here at Rider with a sense of community on campus, as Rider's president, Dr. Bart Luedeke, illustrates.
I think you need ceremonies, and I think Rider historically didn't have a lot of ceremonies. And while you might not call this a ceremony, at least it's at least an event that draws people together. So it's good.
Thanks to everyone who made Midnight Madness so much fun. Yvette Hoffner of Fairlawn, a junior outside hitter on the Rider University volleyball team, currently ranks first in digs in Division I of the NCAA. Hoffner compiled 36 digs in her latest match at Loyola on October 6th and is now averaging 5.63 digs per game. Hoffner has played in all 52 games for the Bronx and has 293 digs. As the Rider Female Athlete of the Month for September, Hoffner is the first Rider athlete to rank first in the nation in a statistical category since 1988, when Bronx baseball player Ken Kremer won the national batting title. The golf team won 3 of its matches on Wednesday. They defeated Monmouth, Fairleigh Dickinson, and Long Island to bring its record to 4-1-1. Freshman Bob Wartenby was a medalist, shooting a 75 on the par 71 Eagle Ridge Country Club in Lakewood. The men's soccer team rebounded from its 2 losses in North Carolina to beat conference rival St. Peter's on Wednesday. Sean O'Hare scored the game-winning goal in overtime on a pass from junior Bob Francis. Rider plays its final 3 regular season games at home against Siena, Manhattan, and Loyola. Freshman Tim O'Neill, the leading freshman scorer in the MAC, scored his team-high 7th goal of the season to tie the score at 2-2 with 7 minutes left in the first half. Freshman goalkeeper Brian Gale had 6 saves. That wraps up Rider sports. Now to Week 8 of the NFL, where there was plenty of action on the field. To Veterans Stadium we go. The Birds were hosting the Bears. Second quarter, Philly up by 3 when Mike Caldwell chases down Chicago QB Cade McNown and sends him flying to the turf. Take another look at it. McNown separates his shoulder. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Backup Jim Miller would come in and play the rest of the game. Late in the second now, and Donovan McNabb looking, and finds an open Jeff Thomason from 3 yards out, and the Eagles grab a 10-zip lead at the half. Same score in the third when Dave Akers knocks through his team record 13 consecutive field goal of the season. Eagles knock off the Bears 13-9 and improve to 5-3 on the season. Now let's take a look at the rest of the scores from around the league. On to Major League Baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals took on the New York Mets in Game 5 of the National League Championship Series at Shea Stadium in Queens, New York. No score in the first when Algardo Alfonso swings the base hit to left. Jay Payton scores 1-0 Mets. It's now 3-0 Mets in the fourth when Todd Zeal slaps a bases-loaded double to right center. Perez, Piazza, and Ventura all come around the score, and the Mets jump to a 6-0 lead. Mike Hampton cruising, gets Fernando Vini swinging, then Jim Edmonds chasing. He would take a 7-0 lead into the ninth and gets Rick Wilkins to fly out to center to end the game and send the Mets to their first World Series since 1986. Now to the Bronx, where the Yankees were playing host to the Seattle Mariners for Game 6 of the ALCS. The Mariners were trying to stay alive to force a Game 7. Things were looking good early for them as Carlos Guillen takes Al Duque yard with a 2-run bomb in the fourth, 4-0 Seattle. However, the Yanks would close the gap 4-3 in the seventh when David Justice tattoos Mariner reliever Arthur Rose on a 3-1 pitch, a 3-run homer, and the Yanks grab a 6-4 lead. More New York scoring in the seventh, bases champ for Paul O'Neill as he grounds a base hit to right to score Williams and Martinez, and the Bombers gain an 8-4 lead. Tough night for Arthur Rose. He allowed 4 runs on 4 hits, a walk, and no outs. We move on to the 9th, and the Yanks hanging on to a 9-7 lead. Mariano Rivera gets Edgar Martinez to ground out to short to end the game to make it a Subway Series. The Yanks are back in the World Series with a chance to clinch their 3rd straight title, not to mention battle the Mets for bragging rights on the city.
Well, it looks like it's going to be pretty exciting around here with the Subway Series. I'm pretty sure that the Yankees are going to win, though. What do you guys think? I'm banking on the Yankees.
I really don't care. You know, I'm all for the Phillies. You know, I was raised in a Phillies family, so I'm gonna stick with the Phils. Well, thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in every week for News at Rider.